Good evening, and welcome to Soulful Sundown at Shelter Rock. If we haven't met before, I'm the Reverend Jennifer Brower, along with my colleagues, the Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore, the Reverend Jay Brooks, and our student minister, Aaliyah Shinbro. I serve the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock. Since 2004, I've had the privilege of leading most of our monthly Soulful Sundown evenings, where contemporary, or pretty contemporary music, resides at the heart of the religious experience. For over a year now, the musicians of the Cosmic Orchestra and I have offered this expression of Unitarian Universalism by way of Facebook Live. Thank you for welcoming us into your home, or your car, or your back deck, or your fire escape, or wherever you happen to be this evening. Tonight, Aaliyah and I and the musicians invite you to do whatever you need to in order to make our gathering feel as worshipful as possible. Set the lights just right. Turn up the volume. Maybe grab a candle. And certainly a box of tissues. They always come in handy. And as you feel called to move your body, we hope you will. Dance on your feet or in your seat. It's good for you. And we cannot see you, so this is absolutely the judgment-free zone. Not that Soulful Sundown in person wasn't the judgment-free zone, but this is truly. Appreciate the sounds of life, human and otherwise, around you this evening. Give thanks for the technology that allows us to be together. Test out using the Facebook Live chat function and let us know that you're here. And if we have technical difficulties tonight, please just bear with us. Although we cannot see or hear you, except for when you chat with us, know that we're very glad to spend this time with you. Until we gather in body again, we invite you to be in contact with us through Facebook and Instagram and through the UUCSR website too. We have lots going on and you are welcome to participate in all of it. So, now as Soulful Sundown could not possibly exist without the musicians who bring the music to life, it's time to welcome the musicians of the Cosmic Orchestra, those folks who play with such gusto for us every month. They are Erica Lee, Pat Falco, Jonathan Predis, Eugene Ruffalo, Mark Schulman, Ben Wish, and Chris Marshak, who also serves as our band leader. We give thanks for their gifts and their good spirits. We begin tonight with our chalice lighting, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, and these words, an adaptation of the story of creation by Laura Kim Joyner and Gary Kowalski. I have further adapted their words. In the beginning, as the old story says, when the heavens and the earth were in formation, before there was anything, a great darkness lay upon the deep, and a mighty wind moved across the emptiness. At that time, the entire universe was inside a bubble that was 1,000 times smaller than a pinhead, and it was hotter and more dense than anything we can imagine. And then it suddenly exploded, emerging in a blinding flash. Carbon and nitrogen and oxygen and hydrogen, the building blocks of life, spilled forth. And from those ingredients, the seas were laid down. Then came the hills and mountains and forests. And over time, those seas and hills and mountains and forests were filled with the most marvelous creatures. Elephants and tigers in the jungles, buffalo on the broad plains, and birds in number that darkened the skies on their annual migrations. On the continental shelf of the oceans, the coral reefs were formed and became home to the sea turtle and the octopus, and the eel and fish. And every day, the earth brought forth new creatures, adapting, changing, evolving. And each was remarkable. No part of creation was superfluous. No species was a throwaway or expendable. Every bird and beetle, fish and beast, every sloth and snake and crocodile added to the array. And each was and is a marvel. And every single one has a purpose. In honor of this creation, in all its glory, in all its magnificence, we kindle the flame of our chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. When I was about 9 years old, the neighbors across the hall got a puppy. They were so excited to come over and tell me all about it. There are two girls who lived across the hall, Maura and Margaret, and they came running over to tell me about their new puppy and for me to come back over and see it. It was an apricot-colored teacup poodle that they named Coco. Coco fit in the palm of my 9-year-old hand. She was marvelous. My mother melted when she saw Coco. Before I knew what was happening, my mother was adopting Coco's sister, who was pure white and fluffy. She looked like a powder puff or a Tribble from Star Trek. My mother named her Dolly in honor of Dolly Parton. My mother and Dolly fell madly in love. It was really quite ridiculous. My steel magnolia mother turned into a total mush with that dog, but they were very sweet to observe. My mother then had 2 teenagers and a preteen. She doted on Dolly. Dolly was exactly what she needed in her life. She routinely cooked chicken and vegetables for Dolly, and Dolly knew who her person was. One night, about 4 years after Dolly became a member of our family, I was sitting in a bedroom talking with my mom. Dolly was sitting on my lap. And this gray, black, mangy, smelly hound of hell came bounding at me from down the hall. With Dolly in my arms, I jumped up and stood on this chair to escape the beast. In this chaotic, frantic scene of screaming and this thing leaping around, it became clear that my sister had brought home this wet, filthy, smelly, injured dog that she'd found on the stairs of the subway station at 96th and Central Park West. The stinky beast would turn out to have white fur, and our family would grow by one more. My sister named the hound of hell, who turned out to be the most docile creature, Subway. His full name was Subway Sebastian Shiloh Aloysius Theodore Roosevelt Reagan. Reagan was my family name. 2 A's, no E's. And Subway had become a Reagan too. Subway was often referred to as Subs or Pig or Pigway for a whole host of reasons. And like Dolly, Pig was a welcome gift to our family. Dolly and Subway brought out deeper dimensions in each of the Reagans. Dolly was the tiny alpha dog who would sometimes snap at Pig and tug on his long ears. And Pig was Dolly's affable, goofy, kind of loping, larger, and later on rather fat, ever good-natured companion. When Dolly died just a few years later, and very suddenly, Pig mourned deeply. It was heartbreaking to observe. Each of us in our own grief, watching Subway grieve, was terrible. I wondered if he would recover. Like people, he did. My dad, who worked at home, got the task of walking Subway most of the time. One day in my young adult years, Dad gleefully shared a dream he'd had. He said that in the dream, he was ready to take Pig out. He was getting his leash from where we kept it and just about to attach it to his collar when Pig looked up at him and said, "Dave, I like you." Over the decades, my father very often recounted that dream, And every single time you could see how it made his heart swell. When my father's memory failed and he was no longer recounting that story, I would remind him of that dream. And then he would beam. And again, you could see how his heart swelled to be loved by that dog and to have Subway tell him so in a dream. It was very sweet. Subway lived a long, long, well-fed life. He died of old age in 1997. We were all brokenhearted. Anyone who has ever experienced a loss of a loved one gets it. Whether it's a family member who is a pet or a family member who is a human, it is a heartache. About 2 weeks ago, I dreamt I was in my parents' apartment. I dreamt I was walking through the area that was my father's office space and turned into the living room, where there was Subway in all his glory, just about to jump up on the couch, where he was never really supposed to be, but we always let him sit there. And I said, "Pig, you're not dead." And he wagged his tail, which really involved sort of wagging the whole second half of him. And it was so lovely to see him again. Such a delightful surprise to see him alive. Our pets are among our most important and tender emotional bonds. They give to us in ways we cannot often articulate that we need. And we can show to them a love and tenderness and vulnerability that we cannot easily show other humans. We care for our pets' basic needs, and they care for our deepest needs. Once connected, we are forever tethered to them. They are part of our story. Tonight, we marvel at the diversity of the animal kingdom and celebrate our pets.
Now your bowl is empty, and your feet are cold, and your body cannot stop the rocking. I know it hurts to let go. everybody, this is Honey. She is my 2-year-old rescue from Texas. And you'll have to forgive her because 8 o'clock is the time of day when she just switches off and gets sleepy. But don't be fooled because she is a type of herding breed and she is insatiably needy and hyper intelligent and needs a lot of exercise during the day. I really lucked out because I got Honey just a handful of months before the pandemic, and I had no idea the joy, laughter, and stress relief that she was going to bring for me during what was really a challenging year. I'm so thankful for her because even though I work from home and she's constantly a distraction from my work, she's also a distraction from the things that stress me out, and she gets me outside and grounds me. She's just such a source of, anxiety relief. And most of all, she just unconditionally loves. And that's just the special thing about her and about pets in general that I'm so grateful for. They will love us on our worst days, and to have them in our lives is just truly a blessing. So if you have a pet, or you've had a pet in the past and you're remembering them tonight, you can join me in showing some gratitude for all that they bring to us. Honey is snoring, but I'm sure if she was awake, she would say, "Have a wonderful night and thank you so much for being with us."
Cats as Teachers by Frederick and Marianne Bressett. We have learned many things from living with our cats. Some lessons are directives we would be wise to follow. Live a rhythmic life. Sit and savor the present moment. Gaze intently. Stretch often. Keep out of harm's way. Take good care of your family. Be independent, but don't be afraid of being dependent upon others. Cherish your wildness, even if no one else does. When you want something, be persistent. When someone pays attention to you, respond with affection. If you are embarrassed, turn your back on the situation and get on with your life. Enjoy small treats. Keep yourself clean. Take a nap when you need one, and try to relax more.
For most, if not all, it's hard to relax during a pandemic. It is certainly almost impossible to relax when you are without an income to support yourself or your family, when you cannot afford groceries or rent, when you don't have adequate health care. A year ago, the bottom fell out of the music industry. Concerts, tours, and festivals have been canceled since. Clubs, bars, and restaurants have been closed. Expanding their care for jazz and blues musicians during the time of the COVID pandemic, the Jazz Foundation of America extends compassionate counsel and direct financial support to musicians in crisis. As their website says, we have a large and growing number of clients who rely on us due to illness, aging, lack of work, or other circumstances. These artists live precariously, even in good economic times, but with no job security and often minimal savings. Now they face an indefinite period of financial freefall, with a year of gigs already lost.
This COVID-19 virus has impacted the musicians community probably as heavily as any other in the United States, because most of the people that we look at and support, they survive gig to gig. They make their money from one gig to the next. So if they don't gig, they don't eat, basically.
Jazz and blues will continue to give comfort and solace to music lovers throughout this crisis and long beyond. Let us bring comfort and assurance to those artists now. Donation information will be in the chat or in the text accompanying this service after it's been recorded and posted. We invite you to please give as generously as you are able.
Places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better, some have gone and some remain. All these places had their moments with lovers and friends, and still can recall. Some are dead and some are living. In my life I've loved them all. But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you. And these memories lose their meaning when I think of love as something new. Though I know I'll never ever lose affection for people and things that went before, I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life I love you more. Though I know I'll never ever lose affection for people and things that went before, I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life I love you more.
as I have spoken about here at Soulful Sundown and elsewhere. The experience of living through a global pandemic has helped us to more easily see what is essential: the quality of our domestic lives, having purposeful tasks, the need for connection with others, the presence of our beloved pets in our homes, our relationship with them and theirs with us. Over these many months, when instead of being in our cars and on trains commuting and in offices squirreled away from the outside world, we have been outside as the weather has allowed, and we've experienced more attentively the change of seasons. As we've paid attention to what's happening in countries around the world, we've been reminded of the vast world beyond our homes, beyond our individual lives. Many of you now speak with me about being more aware of the natural world and the fundamental interconnection and interdependence of all life, human and otherwise, on this planet. As I myself see Instagram posts from ocean conservation groups and our national parks, as I watch broadcasts from webcams in zoos, not to mention the Animal Planet show The Zoo about the Bronx Zoo and their conservation efforts, I cannot help but marvel at the incredible complexity and beauty and sometimes outrageous ugliness, but evolutionary functionality of nature and all her creatures. Like those really weird, deep sea creatures that are so freaky and prehistoric looking. They are marvelously strange and part of our world. As Carl Sagan told us decades ago, we are star stuff. We are the legacy of roughly 14 billion years of cosmic evolution. If you could trace an oxygen atom, the one you just breathed in a moment ago, you'd find it somewhere on early Earth. And before that, it was going about the nebula from whence our solar system formed. And before that, it was just exploded from a super giant star that went supernova. And before that, it had just been created by fusion inside the core of a star. We are made of star stuff. And so are the non-human forms of life, for whom Earth is also the cradle of life. As Jane Goodall wrote, we have a responsibility toward the other life forms on our planet, whose continued existence is threatened by the behavior of our human species. And if there is no God, then obviously it is up to us to set things right.
For dogs and cats, large and small, we give thanks.
For rabbits, hamsters, and guinea pigs, we give thanks.
For goldfish, guppies, and swimming creatures, we give thanks.
For robins, wrens, and singing birds, we give thanks.
For raccoons, squirrels, and deer, we give thanks.
For horses, cows, chickens, and sheep,
we give thanks.
For lizards, snakes, and creeping things, we give thanks.
For every animal in the sky, the sea, and the forest. For every animal in the desert, on the mountain, on the farm, and in the field. For those in the home, apartment, circus, and zoo, we give thanks. And we pray today for our animal friends, grateful for their companionship and devotion. May we be worthy of their love. We give thanks for the animals who have been part of our life and are now gone from us, those who brightened our days and who comforted us by night. We hold in our hearts those who are unknown to us and who are suffering. The too many that are hunted or deserted or neglected or tortured. In these days, just after the observance of Passover and Easter, let us bring liberation and new life to the creatures that suffer at the hands of brutal humans. Daily, may we see and honor the breadth and depth and shape of the lives of animals, recognizing that none are superfluous. Each has the right to live as nature intended. May the dynamic energy that formed each of us continue to work its magic in creation. May we cherish all of the beasts and singing birds and the things that slither and swim and crawl and fly and creep. And let us guard with tenderness the things that have no words. And now, my friends, I invite you to pull your beloved pets close, or to stretch out a hand to reach to them, or to just hold them in heart and mind as they are doing whatever they're doing in the house, as we offer these words of blessing for the pets. For the beloved iguanas and snakes and dogs and fish, cats and birds and more. You are a precious part of creation. May you live a contented and long life. May there be food in your belly, a warm place to sleep, and joy and love in your days. So may it be, and amen. Thank you, friends, for joining us tonight for this celebration and blessing of the animals. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Life won't let up for us. All they talk about is what's going on, what's been messed up for us. When I look around, I see blue sky, I see butterflies for us. Listen to the sound and it's sweet music, and dance with me, 'cause there's beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world. Oh, Shake your booty.